Welcome to another episode of Inspiring Women in Travel Asia. I'm your host today, Syrian, Executive Director of Phuket Hotels Association, based here in Thailand. Today, we have a very interesting person that I'll be interviewing, Vitna, who is based in Manila, Philippines. Hello, Vitna. Welcome to our show.
Hi, Sumi. Thank you for having me here.
Today, it's very interesting to have Vitna on the show because normally I was just mentioning earlier that we have a lot of hospitality interviewers on the show who are usually in hotels. So it's very nice to have a fresh perspective or not industry, but a different line of work, but also in travel and hospitality, which is the airlines industry. And Vitna works for Cebu Pacific Air in the Philippines. So it's really interesting. I've also just found out that Vitna's been with Cebu Pacific Air since she's graduated from uni, and she's been with them since. And it's a very interesting career path. So I'm really interested to hear. So Vitna, if you don't mind just sharing a little bit about yourself, and also how did you get into the airline work?
Okay. I'm Vitna. You can call me Vits. I'm a Filipino. I'm a half Filipino, half Syrian, based in the Philippines. And just like what you have mentioned a while ago, yes, I've been in the airline industry since I graduated. So I've been with the airline industry for almost 9 years now. I'm a flight attendant, and just recently I transitioned to be the human factors officer of another department. So very grateful for that promotion. And just recently, I also published a book in the middle of the pandemic. This is for aspiring flight attendants. So the title is Born to Fly, What Every Flight Attendant Needs to Know to Soar in Confidence.
So interesting. I feel like I need to get a hold of that book. Do you have a copy of that book that you can show us, like the cover?
Okay. Just a minute. Here, I think I have one copy here.
Yay! Wow! Born to Fly.
Born to Fly, yes. Hope you can see it.
Yes, it's perfect. And is it available like on podcast or Kindle?
Right now, it's only available in the website. It's borntoflyph.com.
Wow, I definitely be checking it. So that's all the tips and all the key learnings throughout being a flight attendant. Like, I guess you're speaking from experience, and that's what you're writing.
Yeah, actually, this book is very interesting because this is not the typical flight attendant book wherein they talk about makeup, how to do the makeup, what's the right posture, how to make that perfect bun. This one is actually deeper than that. It's about the self. It's about really trusting yourself and overcoming those self-doubts that you have because of flight attendant. It's like a glamorous job for a lot of people, right? And they think that you should be perfect, should be beautiful and stuff like that. But actually, you just really need to have that trust in yourself to achieve that dream. So.
Wow. And I know you've been with the airlines for over 10 years now, and you've gone through different positions within the company. So why particularly flight attendant that you focused on in terms of when you thought about writing the book? Is there any special reason, or was it a certain experience that resonated with you that you felt like, your other fellow flight attendants should know, or up and coming flight attendant for the younger generation to come?
Yeah. Well, actually, if I can share a little bit more about my backstory.
Yes, that would be fantastic. Please do.
Yeah. Just like what I mentioned a while ago, it's like what every aspiring flight attendant needs to know to soar in confidence. So it's really about confidence, right? Because 10 years ago, becoming a flight attendant is really my dream because I didn't see my dad. I didn't grow up with him. I was born and raised in the Philippines with my mom. And my only dream growing up was to see my dad. And for me, Maybe the only thing that I could do that is to become a flight attendant, because as a flight attendant you travel the world, right?
And where was that base at the time?
In Abu Dhabi.
Oh, okay, right.
But we had constant communication ever since. It's just that I didn't get to see him when I was growing up. And then, so right after graduation, I applied to this airline here, the local airline here in the Philippines, and I got rejected. So, for someone who's like really dreaming to become a flight attendant and wanting to see her dad and getting rejected, that day was one of the most devastating day for me.
I,
Um,
yeah, I can imagine, especially that's one thing that you ever wanted. So yeah, I mean, tell us, how did you overcome that rejection?
yeah. Actually, I had an idea why I got rejected. Actually, ever since I was young, I people around me kept on telling me, being a flight attendant suits you. You're tall, you're Middle Eastern teacher and stuff like that. But I also noticed that I have very low self-confidence and self-esteem. Like, I didn't really trust myself. So I realized, how can I ever achieve a big dream if the way I see myself is so small? So that's when I went through this journey of self-discovery, and I really joined programs, trainings, life coaching programs. I joined some communities to really work on myself, to work on my relationship with myself. And then I remembered that I was so desperate. Like I prepared for 1 year to reapply again. So I did everything. Then I remembered praying to God. I told him, God, please make me a flight attendant. If you make me a flight attendant, I will pay it forward.
Right.
So so after a year, lo and behold, I submitted the same resume. I submitted my resume to the same company.
Right.
Everything's the same. The guards, the room, the chairs, everything's pretty much the same. But I noticed that the only thing that's different is me. The way I view everything is different already. So I was a totally different, better person that day.
So was there any person, I mean, what triggered that change? I mean, often when we get rejected, we just wallow in the sorrow and feel sorry for ourselves. And, very rare moment we kind of like pick ourselves up and say, we can do I can do this. So was there like someone cheering you on or supporting you or giving you the confidence? Or did you just say, look, I just got to seize the day and do it for myself? Was it something that you tell yourself already at the time?
Yeah, I think that time I wanted the dream so bad, and I was willing to do whatever it takes for me to get that dream. So I I took the time to really get to know myself, my strengths and weaknesses. What do I need to do so that I can be qualified to become a flight attendant? And from there, I did all the efforts, even if it's hard and awkward and that painful process of really improving myself. It's not really a smooth journey, but it was worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And I think with any sort of reward or achievement, I mean, it all always comes back to hard work and we're earning it. So, definitely good on you for picking yourself up, because like I mentioned earlier, not very often we're able to do that when our spirits are down. And I think that in itself, goes to show that you are a confident person, because often we need someone to sort of like cheer us on and believe in ourselves, to believe in us to be able to do it. So I think you're just naturally have that in you already. But I guess you also mentioned that you wanted the dream so bad, so you would do whatever it takes to get what you want. So, and you mentioned that was a 1 year turnaround, and you did everything the same but just changed your attitude or the way you handle things.
Yeah. And what I find amazing, actually, when I actually committed to that dream, like, opportunities, the right people, the right opportunities, it started to open up for me. it's not easy, but everything was provided for me. So
Yeah, that's good. They always say, if you have the right attitude, you attract the things that you want in your life, and you've already manifested what you wanted, you dreamed about it, you want it so bad. So I think once you have that will, and and you just seize the opportunity when you see them. So yeah, I admire you for that, because sometimes
thank you.
I don't think I'm brave enough to do that. Especially, I think rejection is just sometimes can be so soul destroying. That's no different to failing as well. I've done businesses and work that failed before I got one successful one. So, sometimes we just gotta also learn from being down and things not working out, to find out, how can you do better and how you can actually get what you want, because anything is possible, but maybe sometimes we're not using the right approach, or like you mentioned, not being in the right mindset to do it.
Agree.
Ooh. So is there any plans to write more books? So is this your first publication?
Yes, it's the first book that I've ever written. I'm not even a writer nor a reader. I'm not a bookworm. But yeah, just like what I mentioned a while ago, I had this promise, right, to pay it forward. When I became a flight attendant, my schedule became so busy. I was not able to really pay it forward. But during the pandemic, it was um like God was telling me it's time, because here in the Philippines, so many women wants to become a flight attendant, and during the pandemic, it was badly hit by the pandemic. The aviation industry was badly affected, right? And a lot of aspiring flight attendants were like being hopeless. They don't know what to do anymore. They felt like their dreams are way beyond their reach already. And I remembered at 3 in the morning, I was looking at the window, looking at the city lights with Million Dreams as my background. I don't know if you know that song.
Yes, I do. Is that from a movie? I
Yes,
think.
it's from movie. Yes, I forgot the movie actually, but I love that song.
Is it Showtime? I think maybe it's called Showtime. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, something like that. Um, and then it's like God wanted me. Like I thought I. It's like God was telling me, I thought you're gonna pay it forward. Now is the time. So
Wow, it's like a sign. It's telling.
like
It's,
it's a sign. Yeah. So even if I'm not a writer, um, but I know the purpose. I know the purpose of the book and who is it for. Actually, I wrote the book for 8 months. The first 4 months, it's about battling with my own self doubts and that imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to write a book? Who am I? Who's gonna read this book? Am I really gonna help someone? Stuff like that. But when I was able to publish it and people started to read it, I started to receive messages like, thank you for the book, thank you for writing this. This gave me hope. This helped me improve my relationship with myself. This is more than a flight attendant book. And, and for me, it's very rewarding to receive messages like that.
I think you're paying it forward. It's more than that. It's more about. I think you're already inspiring not just women but men around the world as well by writing this book, because you're sharing you're helping others in ways that you know how, and that's through your writing and the book. So you are giving back to the community and helping the industry. And also, there's a lot of things that people don't tell us in a profession, right? And often we say, oh, nobody told me how hard it is, or how difficult things can be, or stressful. So, having a bit of guidance, it's sort of like a mentoring as well, what you're doing when you write books and share that with other people. So yeah, definitely more than just paying it forward.
Yeah.
But congratulations to be able to come this far, especially. Did you think? Did ever, was it writing a book was part of your plan in terms of um, giving back, or is this something that a revelation that came through during COVID times?
Yeah, I think it's some sort of a revelation that I didn't think was coming my way. I didn't even think that my form of giving back was in a form of a book. So yeah, I think it's some sort of a revelation.
So tell me, I'm really curious. So your dream is realized. So you became a flight attendant. Share, if you don't mind me asking. So did you like get on that flight and see, make arrangements to see your dad, and what was that like? Finally, to like, wow, you know, I did it.
Yeah. Yeah, just like what I mentioned a while ago. This always gives me good goosebumps. After a year of preparation, we applied again, and we were like hundreds. Well, on my way in the airline company. Um, I don't know if you know what a taxi is, right? um,
Yes.
so
And the plane
I
taxis.
yeah, I rode a taxi, and the taxi driver was like, he's like, ma'am, are you gonna apply? And I was like, yes. And he's like, I it's for sure they will accept you. So it's like there are signs already that I will be accepted. And when I came in, there were hundreds of us applying for the flight attendant position. And then screening. Then after that level, we were down to I guess 24. The next level we're down to 12. The next level we're down to 4. And then for that day, I was the only one who got in. And I was like,
Wow.
this is very magical. Like, it's weird, but I really find it magical that day. And then my first flight to Dubai to see my dad, it's also a very touching moment for me because I didn't see him for like I didn't see him at all. It's
Right.
gonna
Wow. All your life.
all my life, yes. So it was the first time that I saw him. So in our hotel, he went there and he has this bouquet of flowers and he gave it to me. That's like it was the first time that a guy actually gave me a bouquet of flowers. And I was like, oh, this is such a dream come true.
Wow, it's very emotional. Actually, it does give me goosebumps as well. Like I can't possibly relate. I mean, I can imagine, but I'm sure the intensity of the emotions must be running wild at the time. And I'm sure since then you've been around the world and going traveling, exploring places,
Yeah.
and doing all sorts of really adventurous stuff. So back to the book, like in terms of like you talked about learnings and
Mm.
experiences. So what are the things that you would I guess what is the advice, if there are three advice that you would give to anyone that wants to go into the airline industry, what would that be, especially for a younger self who is a woman and wanting to be in the airlines? What's the three key takeaways or three advice that you would give?
Okay. Maybe first advice that I would give is to really know what you want, what you truly want. I remembered a mentor told me a lot of people don't get what they want because they don't know what they want and why they want it. So really have that moment with yourself and ask, what do I truly want? And if once you already know, you ask yourself, why do you want it? Like keep asking why. Okay, why do we like for example, I want to become a flight attendant. Why do I want to become a flight attendant? It's for me to travel the world. Why do I want to travel the world? Like keep on asking whys. And when you reach the seventh why, you'll be amazed.
Yeah. And I think that then you really get to know yourself, because often I think we want something but we don't know why we want it. So having the real reasons or the motivation behind why you want something, then it comes with passion, it comes with values, and then you tend to want to go further. And I think a lot of people don't really follow through with what they want is because or follow it through with a task is because they don't know what they want. So it changes the course every now and then. So it's really important to get to know yourself And I think you mentioned about self-discovery. You know, I think we all know what our weaknesses are, our strengths, you know, and we should always try to, and there's always room, right, to be better in what we do. We can be a better versions of ourselves, and we're constantly learning. So
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, no, that's really good.
Yeah. And the second thing, the second advice maybe, now that you're rooted with your why, second is just like what I also mentioned a while ago, do whatever it takes to achieve that dream. Like I know fears will always be there, self-doubts will always be there, but I've also come to realize that we have those fears. The intention of those fears is to protect us, to keep us safe, to keep us in our comfort zone. But I also learned that the most dangerous zone is the comfort zone, right? And yeah, just keep on, just keep on pushing yourself to take one step outside of your comfort zone, and don't be afraid to grow. Like make your fears your friend. Like acknowledge that fears are gonna be there. It's gonna protect you, but still commit to yourself that you will um take that step closer to your dream.
Yeah, I agree. I think we are often our worst enemy, you know. We always talk ourselves into talk ourselves out of not doing something because we're not good enough. We're like, you know, we can't do this, or you know, there's always stuff that we tell ourselves to stop us from doing
That's
stuff.
so true.
Right. And I
There's
often, you know,
thousands of thoughts of it that we tell ourselves.
yeah, exactly. And I often say, you know, you know, you graduate together. Like, for instance, I always think about, you know, two people being in the same position, you know, and then 5 years later, 10 years later, you look back and you go like, wow, that person's already here. And this person is still doing the same thing. And then you kind of wonder what drives one person to be in the same position at one point of their lives, but one has flourished and one hasn't. So it really is important to know what you want, where do you want to go, and actually work towards that goal, because I don't think anything of what we have now just happens to us. You know, we earned it, we work hard, you know, we have clear vision and goals. So yeah, it's really important to know what it is that we want.
Yeah.
And what's the third one?
The third one would be, I guess, surround yourself with people who want to see you win in life. For me, that's very important. Because the journey is not easy, especially the journey is not easy. So you would need people who will lift you up when you cannot do it for yourself.
Yeah, I agree.
That
And
helped me a lot.
yeah, and I always say as well, you know, people always tend to give us advice, especially when we don't ask for it as well. So I always tell myself, like, you know, you can't stop people from giving advice, but you can always take, you know, the opinion that you value, people that you value, that their opinion matters the most. So just pick and choose, you know, what you want to listen to. Sometimes it could be family members as well, like there's certain people that I don't listen, not that I don't value them, but you know, there are certain people that I pick that would lift me up in a positive way. And I know there are people out there that are reflecting their own fears, and I don't want to stop myself from, you know, just because you're fearful of doing it doesn't mean I should be in the same position too. So we're all different, right? And we walk in different walks of life. So I think it's really important to choose advice whose opinion that you value, people that you value, rather than let it mess with our head sometimes.
Yeah. Just take whatever resonates with you, take whatever is useful for you.
Exactly. You know, we're not a one size fit all. You know, we all walk different experiences of life and different paths. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's just what works for you, and that's what's most important. And what you're at peace with as well. You know, you don't want to be resentful because you took someone's advice, or you know, you feel doubt. I think whenever you're in doubt, don't do it. You know, I think you got to listen to yourself, and I think nobody knows it better than yourself sometimes about, you know, what's the right thing to do. It may not be the right thing to do, but you know, it's what you're comfortable doing at the time.
Yeah. Actually, for me, that's the magic ingredient. When there's peace, that means that's the thing for you, or you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, you're contented. I think you know, when you're at peace with things, you know, you go to bed, you know, at night feeling, you know, rewarded, feeling accomplished. There's no sense of guilt or resentment. I think that's really important for anyone, for me at least, you know,
For me
whatever.
too.
Yeah, exactly. So whatever we do at the end of the day, we want to be, yeah, happy, right? I mean, there's nothing worse than, I think resentment is one of the things we hate most. And then you start blaming other people, but you know, often like you're the one that listened to them first. So perhaps you should change your mentality. I mean, you know, you as in yourself, because only you can control your own happiness and your own sadness.
Yeah, I agree with that. And
Yeah.
those people for sure, they're giving advice, tips, their opinions, coming from a place of good intention, of love, and all those came from their own experiences, which could be different from yours. So, which is good. They're coming from good intention, but just like what I mentioned a while ago, choose whatever resonates, choose whatever is useful.
Excellent, thank you. So that brings us to, we've got a few minutes left on this session, and I'm curious to know in terms of a future, so what kind of advice you would give to young up and coming women who wants to go into travel industry? Like, I know there's a lot of key learnings and takeaways in your book, but if there's one thing that you would tell them, what would that be? It may not be personal, it may not be professionally, but personally as well. So what is like maybe one thing that you often, you know, remind yourself or say to yourself, that you would also like to share that with someone who's yeah,
Yeah.
younger than you?
Maybe the advice that I would tell those younger women or men aspiring to be part of the aviation industry is to know your truth, and your truth is enough. Like, I've always been like receiving a lot of messages, like young women doubting themselves. They feel like they're not good enough for this dream, they're not beautiful enough for this dream, when actually we all are, we are enough. Actually, we are enough, and we just need to believe that. So be deeply rooted with in your truth.
Good, good. Thank you very much, Vitna. It's been inspiring having you on board, especially from a very different perspective and sharing your personal experience. It's always quite emotional when we talk about, you know, something that's so close to our heart. So thank you for opening up and sharing that with us. And I think for me, the key takeaway is, yeah, get to know yourself, and also always understand the reason why you're doing things. Always question the why, which is the heart of, you know, the value of what we do.
Yeah, true. And
Excellent.
thank you as well, Sumi, for giving me this chance to share my story. And hopefully, the listeners will be able to benefit from this video, from this interview.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And I hope our paths will cross one day where I get to meet you in person.
Looking forward.
Yes, maybe you can catch a flight to Thailand next time.
Soon, hopefully.
Yes. Thank you, and have a good day ahead.
You too.